Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably the fifth video I've done today, this morning. Probably in the last 2 hours. So, to let everybody continuously know, so now this next topic is, I guess you could say, public perception. So, the ideology behind public perception is, why do you care so much about what other people think about these initiatives and these songs or whatever it is, these lines, these bars, whatever it is? Why do you care so much about people's public perception when you're comfortable in your own skin with what you're doing? And again, you feel passionate about it in Christ's name. Why do you care so much about public perception, what people might think? But I guess the reason why is because I also think about career suicide quite often. What that means is you don't want to kill your career before it gets officially off the ground. Because I can't even lie, in many cases my career is still on the ground, but it's not like completely just dead on the ground. You know, um, at least the way I look at it from all the things that I do and my fan base that I know of, it's not completely dead on the ground. I definitely have a career. It's just not off the ground where a lot of the people are, where they're doing shows, they're making all this money, and a few other things. But it's definitely a career that I'm very passionate about. But yeah, that's the ideology behind it. Is why do you care so much about public perception when you feel a passion in your heart to express certain things, especially when you feel like the spirit of the Lord is behind it? Why do you care so much about public perception? If anything, sometimes the best way you can end up prospering is end up posting something that's unpopular, or at least in your mind is perceived unpopular. Post it, next thing you know, it becomes popular, and so on. I mean, many ways around it, but I can tell you, it's just the fact being, it is that career suicide thing. Is that I don't want to kill my career before it officially gets a chance to, make millions and fully get off the ground. I don't want to kill it, but at the same time, I feel like I might end up a lot. I go back and forth with my mental battle every day, almost on things that I do in my career. I really do. I go off of it in my mind all the time. I'm like, sometimes, Nate, you realize that the best thing for your career could be to not care about what other people think for the most part, and just drop it, especially if you feel like the spirit of the Lord is behind it. Drop it and let people once again comment and react to it accordingly. You know, and also for bad language, that's also what deleting comment sections are for. Or blocking people is for, to an extent. But I think about that with public perception all the time is, you know, why do I care so much? You know, and that is the reason why I care so much, because of the career suicide fact. But then I'm thinking to myself, sometimes you could actually end up letting your career, you could actually end up setting your career free by releasing some of this stuff that you think would equal career suicide. And sometimes, like I say, I don't care sometimes and I just let loose. Other times, I don't. It all depends on my mood and what I feel, you could say, the calling from the spirit is. Slash, fear versus faith. For a part of my life these days is a good mixture of that. Fear versus faith. I am pissed at myself when I let fear outweigh my faith, because that is not the ways of a born again Christian or a Christian period. It's letting fear overrule faith. I think you'll continuously always limit yourself doing that, and so on. Because trust me, there's a difference between being fearful and just being aware. Sometimes I'm just aware. Other times, I'm very much just fearful of the career suicide fact. But then I'm thinking to myself, you know, because I know the difference between fear versus awareness. I know the differences. And that's why I ask God to forgive me, and I really ask everybody else to forgive me for the times where I do put fear versus, fear over faith. Because that's not what I should ever be doing, especially with all the preaching that I do. It's not that I ever feel like a fraud doing that. I don't. I just feel like it's a process, and I feel like eventually over time I'm gonna keep working to get over it, because you know that I don't want that to rule. For the most part, it does not rule my life. For the most part, it does not. But it is something I concentrate on often. Faith versus fear, career suicide, and more. Because I have a lot of, you could say, I wouldn't say outlandish opinions, but I have a lot of, dare I say at times, unpopular opinions. And like I said before, you just don't want to be on the wrong side of history with your unpopular opinions. A big part of what it is for me. You don't want to be on the wrong side of history with your unpopular opinions, which is what I try my best not to be, because that is how you can end up doing career suicide. And depending on which market you're marketing towards, because I'm a very people person, but depending on what market you're marketing towards, I can rest assure you one of the most damning slash alarming things, depending on which market you're marketing towards, Some of these people are so unforgiving. That's one of the top problems. Like there's some of these people are so unforgiving. Now my fan base for the most part, they absolutely love me, care about me, cherish me, and adore me. So for the most part, I don't have to worry about that. But I'm always worried about I'm not really worried about my fan base. I'm worried about the people outside my fan base who are yet to discover me and will once again judge off of one clip, one whatever. Sometimes I do the same thing. God forgive me at times if that is definitely wrong. But I'm telling you, it's all about learning, building, growing in Christ's name to your best self for the best of all people. But the problem is, not everybody cares about God, Jesus, faith, religion, and more. Which is one of the top reasons why I say at times, I'm letting the fear override my faith because of career suicide, the fear of career suicide. But then I'm also thinking to myself, Nate, once again, the faith part, again, when it comes to the connectivity of, fan bases and connectivity of people, people being a people person, that's what I mean about all the math and science that goes into what you post, why you post it, why you feel what you feel. Because some of these people will never forgive you, never let you live it down. To another extent, a big part of me says I don't need your respect, and I don't care then, because I'm a kid. Because again, some of these things I try my best to analyze in the absolute best way that I can. Where if you still don't like it, and you're still attacking me, God bless your soul. I don't need your respect, and to that big extent, I don't care. Because if you can't understand it by now, then there's something wrong with your heart, something wrong with your soul and your mental health, and you got the problems, not me. And that's why I ask God, I pray to Him, ask God and pray to Him to indeed daily bless me with the strength, the courage, and more to not care about what some people think and just do me. Because it's not that you're always going to have haters, even though for the most part you are. It's not for the most part you're always going to have haters, but you're always going to have, you're always for the most part going to have that 1% that, just like I said before, they look to nitpick everything you say and do just so they can once again try to get an arouse out of it, or they can do whatever they're going to do. And God be the judge and witness, like I said before. People is like something else with it, honestly. But yeah, cause that's what that is. Some writing songs at the same time. But that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen, to a high and heavy extent with it on a daily basis. Juice reservation for better and for worse. That's what it is on a daily basis with me. Is yes, public perception. I hope everybody understands that because it's not really hard to understand. It pretty much like saying, while I was watching Nashville, the show Nashville last month, I thought to myself, I will never be a public kiss up to sell records, to get views. Because that's the biggest problem when it comes to our society is people being, and this is why we live in such a spineless culture. Dare I say, spineless ass culture. We live in a very spineless culture because people do that. They will be a public kiss up for clickbait, for clicks. Public kiss up to sell their records. For the most part, guys and girls, that's not me, and I try what I can to steer away from it every day because I will not sacrifice the message in my music, these videos right here, and that's once again becoming more comfortable in my skin, living up to my faith, and standing for something. How can I sacrifice these? How can I possibly sacrifice these things for indeed public perception, or just again to sell records and get likes and views? It's easy to deal with, but like I said, can you live with yourself doing it? And that's a part of the struggle is, can you live with yourself doing it? For the most part, I don't believe I have anything to worry about because I do believe God has blessed me with tremendous talent and great friends very often where, like I said before, I'm destined to succeed. I'm destined to go off and do great things. I'm destined for a lot of greatness. And God knows, we're going to see how things go over time with all of this. I'm very excited. Very excited. But yeah, so those are the records I dropped. I've dropped also The City Is at Peace. That song, for the most part, The City Is at Peace, has a lot to do with Jacksonville itself, which is what you hear me rapping about. Jacksonville, obviously Ponte Vedra. The City Is at Peace is literally me trying to do what I can to heal Jacksonville as a whole, because Jacksonville, last my check, is the #1 most dangerous city in our state, or most famous for crime or something like that in our state.